Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. We're going to start with Saints and Chiefs, though. The Saints will be in the the Caesars Superdome coming up on Sunday, noon Central kick, NFL Network. Was checking out some of the videos on Twitter from Fletcher Mackel, some of the New Orleans media at the renovations to the Superdome, which looked really cool. Apparently, they've taken out all those ramps that you used to walk up to get to the loge or to the terrace levels, and they've put in some more expansive club levels, some huge bars that are a little bit more accessible. I've never complained really about my viewing experiences at Superdome. I've sat in the press box all the way up the top, which wasn't great, but I've sat in the terrace level, sat there for 2 national championship games and was fine with it. I've sat in the club level. That's fantastic. I've sat down low. I like the Superdome, but some people kind of complain about it. Well, we'll see. They've pumped a lot of money into that building, and this will be a lot of Saints fans' first time to go in there and check it out. And when they do, they're going to get to see some starters on Sunday. Demario Davis isn't going to play. Rashid Shaheed's not going to play, and most of the guys who will be out there in game 1 are not going to see a ton of time. But as I go through kind of the top 4 things that I'm going to be looking for in this game that the Saints play on Sunday, the first one's going to be the starters. I'm more interested in watching Derek Carr operate the offense for 2 series than I am the guy that's trying to make the practice squad. I love you if that's your deal, and I'm kind of like that with LSU baseball and looking at kind of what's going to work and who's going to settle into what role in the middle relief. I don't grind that as hard with Saints preseason games. Some do, and that's awesome. But to me, storyline number 1 is get David Carr out there, get him acclimated to hearing plays from a new coaching staff, get into the flow of things, get some first downs, and get off the field and put a hat on. But I think the first thing you got to point to is starters. I also, in the course of pointing to starters, would like to see a couple of guys that we haven't really talked about. I haven't talked about them much with Sharif, haven't talked about them much with Luke, and that's Kalen Saunders and Nathan Shepard, the 2 defensive tackle free agent signings that are really the face of this overhaul of the Saints defensive line. Yeah, they took Brian Brzee in the first round. Yeah, Isaiah Foskey went in the second round, and those catch your attention because everybody's locked into the draft, and free agent just kind of happens on Twitter. But these guys are going to be tasked to stepping up and being better than the Saints were last year. And they have been average rotational players early in their NFL careers. Now, these guys still have their best football in front of them. I'm comfortable saying that. But the Saints are going to need to see it this year. So I'm going to be looking for those 2 guys, get a little push, get a little penetration, make a play or 2 in the backfield. It'll be early, and then they'll be out. But of the starters, I'd like to see those 2 guys. I mentioned Carr, but let's see if Michael Thomas is out there. He's supposed to play. He's supposedly had a pretty nice start to camp. Can he make some catches? I'd love to see that. Again, this is all more fascinating to me than the guys duking it out in the 4th quarter to see if they can make the practice squad or impress the Chiefs coaches for when they're looking to sign some free agents later in camp. That's where I am first. So it's Carr and Thomas, Kalen Sanders, Nathan Shepard. And then you get kind of to the second tier of what I'm looking forward to, and it still revolves around starters, but it's guys that I think are going to play a little bit longer, and that starts with maybe the guy we've talked about the most early in camp for the Saints, and that's Trevor Penning. That's a guy that is going to play a little bit on Sunday, and that's a guy who is going to play a little bit in the first game, and by a little bit I mean probably the whole game. He needs to get up to speed. It stinks for a young player when you come out in your rookie year and you don't get an opportunity to play. He was penciled in to potentially be a swing guy for them last year, maybe find his way to the starting lineup. He goes down early, comes back late, gets hurt again. It's not an ideal first campaign in the National Football League for Trevor Penning. Thus starts year 2. He's going to need to play well. He'll be the starter, I think, that's in the game the longest. I'm watching Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor. How much do they play? How well do they play? I still think that's a battle. By all accounts, Lattimore's been sensational in camp. That's your 1. I think there's a battle for 2, and it sounds like Paulson Adebo has the upper hand in that battle. I kind of like Alontae Taylor's upside. Maybe I'm just favoring the SEC there. But I like his upside. I think those two guys are going to be out there and playing a little bit. So excited to see what they can do. Then you get to later in the football game. Brian Brzee. You figure he's going to play a good bit. He's not a starter at this point. That's what you brought Shepard and Saunders in to be. Brian Brzee fits in next. I would imagine we'll see him a good bit in this game. Be his first action in the NFL. I would venture to say that maybe next week more important with joint practices, but it's your first opportunity. We've heard that he's shown some pass rush ability, shown a little bit of slipperiness on the inside. Maybe that's something that Saunders and Shepard haven't shown very much of in their early NFL careers that Brzee could specialize in as he grows into his role with this team. So that'll be somebody to watch. And then the last guy in terms of offense, defense that I'm looking at has been Isaiah Foskey. I'll say this, and y'all know I'm not a talent evaluator, but when I looked at that pick and I looked at the production at Notre Dame, sack leader, looked at the competition Notre Dame plays, which is quality. Played, Georgia and Bama every week, but Notre Dame plays a real schedule. It's not Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. I'm thinking this might be a really, really good pick in the second round. I mean, second round picks oftentimes come in and carve out a role immediately. And every single person you talk to in Saints world, beat writers, TV, whatever, say Foskey's a real project. That surprises me. His numbers were really good at Notre Dame. And sometimes college doesn't translate to the pros all across sports. But I was surprised to hear that it's noticeable to those attending practice from a media perspective. We're like, yeah, not yet. Which would lead me to believe that he'll be out there a bunch on Sunday. Would love to see him come off the edge a couple times, create some confidence, beat a third-team tackle. He's not going to be facing the best the Chiefs have to offer in the third quarter. Far from it. So that's your opportunity to kind of show, hey, I am the second-round pick. You are an undrafted free agent that's going to be cut tomorrow. I'm going to hang around a little bit. I'm going to beat you. Would love to see that from Isaiah Foskey on Sunday as he kind of starts his building process. They got time there. You got Granderson. You got Cam Jordan. You got guys on the outside. But Foskey's a guy they've invested in. Would love to see him in what is the preseason game with the least amount of talent on the field, right? As we move forward in a 3-game preseason, you kind of increase the talent level that's on the field for a duration of time. In this game, those guys leave quick, and the guys who may not make the team are out there. Go get him, Isaiah Foskey. And the last one, look, no pressure in a preseason game, no elements in a preseason game. You're at home in the Dome. Will Lutz, whatever he's called on to do on Sunday, needs to be perfect. He misses a 68-yarder, I'll live. But everything inside 52 needs to be made. This is a storyline that I think was something that we mentioned entering camp, and now you've got more on the bone to chew on with rookies and 11-on-11s and preseason games and joint practices and all the kind of things that are a little juicier to chew on. Fact of the matter is that Will Lutz has not been very good the last couple of seasons. There's been injury. There's been inconsistency. There is no excuse in this preseason game. You go somewhere outside and it's raining, okay, I'll live. You go somewhere and the wind's whipping all over the place, all right. Not in the Dome. Will Lutz needs to be perfect in whatever they ask him to do. He may kick 2 27-yarders and that's it. Make him. But if he is called on to knock home a couple of 44-yarders, he needs to do that. We talked about last week the inconsistencies that Lutz had. He was missing from under 40 yards last year. Not like once. Consistently. He still got the leg. He made 4 kicks from 50-plus last year. He was 50%, which is a little less than what he has been in his career. But it's not an issue of I'm losing my leg. It's an issue of consistency and knocking it through the goalposts. You need to see that from Will Lutz. So for me, kind of 4 things. What do the starters look like for the first 2 series? It's not a hugely important thing, but you'd like them to look better than not. 2, Trevor Penning as the game progresses. And I think Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor, especially Taylor, will be out there kind of a little bit longer as well when most of the starters shut it down. I'll be looking at that. Brian Brzee and Isaiah Foskey. All right, showtime for your first 2 picks. Let's see what you got. And then Will Lutz. Let's make it. Patrick Mahomes expected to play a little bit. Andy Reid has played him in the first preseason game and every year that he's coached him. I expect that to continue on Sunday, just not very long. For those of you who are interested in this kind of thing, Saints 2-point favorite in the Dome. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.